What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package, and infrastructure update and daily news report for Thursday, September 23rd. So we have a lot of very important news that we need to cover over the past 24 hours. So I want to break down what is currently going on. First, just want to say thank you guys for continuing to watch the videos, for continuing to hit that like button and also subscribing. But here's what's going on today. Yesterday, President Biden, he held 3 different meetings in the White House. One was with Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. The other one was with a group of 11 moderates in the House and the Senate. And the other final meeting was actually with progressives. I'll break down what was said in that meeting in just a minute. We also know key lawmakers are now saying that Democrats don't have the time to do a budget reconciliation bill to increase the debt ceiling, which is causing a lot of issues because previously they thought they did have the time. The House GOP is now planning on whipping votes against the bipartisan infrastructure bill to avoid spending $5 trillion in socialist spending. That is their words. Nancy Pelosi states that she will not move the $3.5 trillion bill forward without the guarantee that she has the 50 votes needed in the Senate to get this bill passed, and Congress has only one plan to increase the debt ceiling, and they don't have a plan B to fall back on. That is what we're going to discuss in today's video. First, I just want to address as far as stimulus checks, because I keep getting this question. If we see the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill kind of, go by the wayside, it goes away. If we see the $1.2 trillion bill possibly pass or not, would it impact a stimulus check? Buhere's what we know. According to experts, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion Build Back Better Act, which I'll address why they're calling it that in a minute, but if either one of those doesn't pass, it doesn't actually impact a stimulus check. What is impacting a stimulus check is the economy. If we see unemployment, if we see that increase, if we see more people struggling to put food on the table, nutrition assistance is just not covering it. And if we see the eviction crisis obviously turn into a bigger crisis than what it is right now, and then on top of that, COVID cases surging even higher than where they are. If all those things happen, businesses are closing down, people go on unemployment, all those things happen, then stimulus checks will come back. But as of right now, the talks aren't on stimulus checks. The talks are on the debt ceiling. The talks are on keeping the government funded. And then after that, it's the $1.2 trillion infrastructure, that bipartisan infrastructure bill, and then the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. That's currently the way things are breaking down. But let's address what President Biden talked about yesterday. Yesterday, President Biden's first meeting was with Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi said that the meeting was good. She said, "We are on schedule, and that's all I will say. We're calm and everybody's good and our work's almost done." Now, most people didn't believe that. Well, then President Biden, he met with a group of 11 House and Senate moderates. And in this meeting, President Biden was able to get moderates to agree that they need to come back with a price. They need to have an agreement on an offer, whatever the offer may be. Because right now, no moderate or centrist has came out with a, this is what we need, this is the price we're willing to accept. Haven't done it. And President Biden said he wants moderates to give him a number that they can live with. Just give him a number. And also what Democrats absolutely would not accept. That's what he wants. Now, they still haven't given him that. The meeting was just yesterday, but we will see when that does come out. And when it does, I promise I'll fill you in on that update as well. When President Biden met with progressives, this is where things started to get very interesting. He understood where they were coming from. Bernie Sanders said that there was a lot of give and take, meaning that, or he understands that there's going to be a lot of give and take, meaning that right now, the progressive caucus is going to have to pull back their ask and their demands. Are they going to be able to get $3.5 trillion? Probably not. That's what's currently being discussed. Most likely the price of this bill will be decreased. Bernie Sanders also said that at the end of the day, we're going to be just fine. We will see. Progressive chairwoman Pramila Jayapal, she had this to say, that the meeting was productive and that she reiterated that progressives want both bills to pass. They want both the bipartisan bill and President Biden's Build Back Better Act to pass. That is what their goal is. They are prepared to vote against the $1.2 trillion bill after, okay, they will vote on this, but only after the Build Back Better Act passes. They will not vote in favor of the $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill until after the Build Back Better Act passes. But again, and I said this yesterday, and I'll continue to bring this up, but the Democrats are changing the narrative of this bill or these bills. They're not calling them infrastructure bills. They're not calling them stimulus packages. They're calling them the Build Back Better Act. They're not even calling them the American Families Plan anymore, because they're trying to change the way these were looking. They're looking like they went to just children, parents, families. Well, now it's going to go to children, parents, families, and elderly. That's who it's going to. So that's actually making it difficult to pass, because some are saying, hey, we're leaving out this large group of people over here, and yet it seems like nobody cares. So that's why they're changing what they're calling this at this time, at least according to reports. And as I mentioned yesterday, okay, the House Budget Committee Chairman, John Yarmuth, he is saying that his staff experts are telling him that there's not enough time between now and when the U.S. is expected to default on their debts and run out of money. That's expected to be October 20th. That was 4 weeks from yesterday. Not today. It is expected to take about 3 to 4 weeks to pass a budget reconciliation bill for a debt ceiling increase. So there's no way they could do this. But there would have been time if Democrats were to do this, take care of business before they went on recess for 4 to 5 weeks. But that's not what happened. They went on recess. They went on vacation. They didn't deal with the business at hand. And now they must figure out a way to raise the debt ceiling. Experts anticipate the only way they can do this is by Democrats will have to give in to Republicans' demands. They will have to lower the cost of the $3.5 trillion infrastructure or stimulus package in order to get 10 Republicans to vote in favor of raising the debt ceiling a small amount. That's what we're hearing. That now Democrats will have to work with Republicans. And we'll see how that goes. But after a month of back and forth, Republicans are now seeing that Democrats are set on tying the two bills together. And the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, he plans on whipping the GOP votes to go against the bill. Now, the House Minority Whip, Steve Scalise, his office actually said this, and I quote, It's now clear that the tax and spend reconciliation bill and the Senate infrastructure bill are inextricably linked. Therefore, we will be whipping against both measures in an effort to stop Democrats from enacting $5 trillion in socialist spending. Now, the House doesn't need any Republican votes. The House just needs to make sure they do not lose more than 3 Democratic votes and the bill will pass. But if the House GOP, if they're whipping votes to go against the bipartisan bill, this could actually turn the Senate GOP against the bipartisan bill as well. Well, if the GOP in the Senate, if they don't have the 17 or 18 votes that they had previously, and let's say they have 0 or maybe only 5 or 6, the bill will not pass. It needs 10 Republican votes as well as all 50 Democratic votes in order to get the bill passed through the Senate. Or else it just won't pass. It will die in the Senate. So, what I can tell you right now is if this happens, we don't know if Democrats would change the $3.5 trillion stimulus package to then include the pure infrastructure as well. So things could get very tricky at this time. And again, next week, we're going to know. We're going to know because in just 4 days, Nancy Pelosi promised on September 27th, by September 27th, we would have a vote on that $1.2 trillion pure infrastructure bill. That is that bipartisan bill. Well, we could see if that happens. But remember, that's in just 4 days. And the other day, Nancy Pelosi stated that she will not put the $3.5 trillion bill on the floor of the House until she's guaranteed that the bill is also going to pass through the Senate. And right now, they do not have the numbers. This brings up the question whether the immigration reform bill will be included. Because if it's included in the House, right now the Senate parliamentarian has stated that it does not meet the rules of the Senate and has to be pulled out. It cannot be passed through a budget reconciliation bill. So, many want to know if this is going to work out. Many want to know, will many senators even do this? Or is the Senate simply going to fall apart on this deal? We don't know. Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema both won a $1.5 trillion bill. But Senator Sanders and many others, they're pushing for the full $3.5 trillion in spending. So right now, all senators are pretty much going about this the wrong way. They're trying to do this on their own. The problem is they cannot pass this on their own. They need every Democratic senator on board, or they need to figure out a way to get more Republicans on board. But as I mentioned earlier, the plan right now is not about, passing the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. That's the goal. That's not the immediate plan. The plan of passing the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, that's one of their goals, but is not the immediate plan. The plan is to increase the debt ceiling, fund the government, do those two things. This is one of the reasons why the House passed that bill, to fund the government until December 3rd, to provide billions of dollars to the Afghan refugees, to provide $6.3 billion for them, to provide billions of dollars to disaster relief, but also suspend the debt ceiling, suspend that debt limit until December of 2022. Well, that's not going to get the votes in the Senate, and that's the problem. But the plan right now must be on raising the debt ceiling or suspending the debt limit altogether. That should be the plan, okay? But reports are indicating that the only way to possibly do this is by lowering the overall size of that $3.5 trillion stimulus package to pass the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, and then hopefully get Republicans on board with a smaller debt limit increase for a short amount of time. But the problem right now that Democrats are going to have is they don't have a plan B to fall back on. And I bring this up simply because of one fact. If Republicans know you do not have a plan B, you don't have any other option, then they are going to push to make sure that you do exactly what they want. It's like you go to a car dealership and they got all these Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and yet they have one Honda Accord sitting in the corner. Now all the Lamborghinis, they're costing about $175,000, $250,000. The Ferraris, let's say about that number, maybe a little bit higher. Then you got the Honda Accord for $15,000. You come up, you don't have much money, your credit's okay. You go to that car dealership and they know this information. You don't have a lot of money, your credit's okay, you're not trading in a vehicle. You go to that car dealership and they're gonna be like, well, here's what we got. You don't have another option. This is all we got. That's it. That's exactly what's happening here. So you'll be stuck with whatever it is Republicans are willing to give you. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now, is that Democrats understand they pretty much backed themselves into this corner. Republicans have kind of guided them into there as well, and Republicans are not willing to help. But at the last second, and these are what reports are indicating, at the last second, the GOP is most likely going to come out and pretty much save the day. That's what the reports are going to be. Republicans come out and save the day, help out Democrats to avoid U.S. default. Well, then what are you going to see over the next year? That Republicans had to help Democrats. Democrats will let the U.S. default on their debts. But Republicans, they were there to save the day. Now, I'm just telling you, this is what we're going to see. this is what we're going to see. Chances are, very good shot. This is what we're going to see. But let's get into the COVID news for today. Many health experts are now anticipating that the U.S. COVID cases will increase between now and to the next few weeks. This isn't looking great, but according to Dr. Megan Rainey, she says, we are not out of the woods yet, and I fully expect case counts to go up again across the country over the weeks and months to come. But even though the case counts will increase and are expected to, the estimates show that the hospitalizations will actually decrease very soon. But experts say that getting more people vaccinated still needs to be the top priority. And when the chief executive at Moderna, he said that the pandemic should be over within a year. But here's what his thought is. The thought process behind when this will be done, when the pandemic will be over, is simply because there's currently not enough vaccines to vaccinate the global population. But there will be. Based on all estimates, there will be enough vaccines over the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months. So within a year, he says that people that do not want to get vaccinated, they will simply be immunized through themselves through contracting COVID, and this will be done naturally. Which, yes, that works. He even goes on to say, and I quote, in this way, we will end up in a situation similar to that of the flu. You can either get vaccinated and have a good winter, or you don't do it and risk getting sick and possibly even ending up in the hospital. That's what his statement was, which is true. You do not have to get a vaccine. In order to get the antibodies, you do not have to get the vaccine. You either get the vaccine, or according to recent studies, if you are naturally immunized by contracting COVID, you will actually have more antibodies. You will actually have a greater immunity than if you were to get the vaccine. The problem is you run the risk of possibly ending up in the hospital or dying. So, experts say, go and get the vaccine. Do not try to contract COVID because that is not the safest way to do it. But both will work. And that's one of the reasons why the hospitalizations are actually going to decrease over the next few weeks and months. So that's what we know right now. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll be back on here to share all the latest news and updates. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.